So thank you everyone for coming here today for the TADSoft MQTT workshop. Prior to this, we had introduced our version 9.2 in a workshop, and now we're starting to focus in on some of these specific enhancements that we've put in here and improvements that we've made along the way. So today it's going to be more of a technically oriented workshop. We're going to go through the configuration tools, show you how things are pulled together, and we'll be taking questions. If you have questions, go ahead and submit them down in the chat, and we'll see if we can get to them during, or maybe spool them up and address them all in batch at the end of the presentation. Certainly, we'll put something out afterwards to everyone that came with a list of the questions and responses accordingly. So thank you, and let's go ahead and get started. Many of you, I've met many of you, and many of you have met Philip one way or the other. I'm Dave Hellier, VP of Business Development for TADSoft. Philip is one of our senior development engineers at TADSoft and the subject matter expert for today. So we're both glad to be here with you. Philip with the hat. Darn it, I left mine at home. Most of you, I always have the hat ready. Long live the hat. So just a brief, a couple slides just here at the very beginning. We've been in business actually for about 13 years as TADSoft now. So our platform, as you know, is a very mature yet growing platform, and it was witnessed by this release in version 9.2. But we come from industrial DNA, over 25 years of industrial DNA. All of us grew up inside of the industrial world, industrial automation. So we've a lot of experience and know-how, both from the software development side, but also from the systems integration side. A lot of experience in this company in that regard. So we're not just doing things because we think it's cool, although many of the times it is very cool. It's because it's needed. It comes from our experience, and it comes from your feedback. So we take your feedback to make our platform better. Originally, we focused on a lot of OEMs to private label our software and use as their own. Today, we're really focused on system integrators and end users as well. So I know that a lot of you fall under those categories. We're headquartered in Houston, Texas. I work out of the Chicagoland office, which is out of Arlington Heights. Philip is down in Houston. You'll see this platform if you haven't seen it already. It's built on top of OT and IT technologies, as you'll see as we get into here a little bit more. It is cross-platform independent. It runs inside the .NET framework. Whether that's on a Windows PC or if that's on a Linux PC, it doesn't matter to us. It's all about being in the .NET platform. So that's what we're using today. Again, part of being an open platform, as you know, is being able to connect to anything, whether it's some sort of an intelligent device, a database, an online resource, things like that. We've got all those connectivity tools built into the platform. As we continue to grow it. We've got a lot of large companies using us in various different ways across many different industries. It could be pharmaceutical, steel, metals, oil and gas, water, rail transportation. A lot of companies here that are using us, and certainly many more coming on board each and every day. Our platform itself is what we develop. It is our sole reason for being here is to develop this platform for the market. The platform itself is called FrameworX. The products that it enables are what we call FrameworX Unlimited, which is the completely unlimited tool set, all the power tools, unlimited in terms of how much I/O you bring into your project, unlimited in terms of how many simultaneous runtime users are running that project, but also how many development engineers are connecting to it to develop your project simultaneously. It's one of the a main benefit of it being a SQL database oriented project. So FrameworX, the unlimited, it's everything you can do with our platform. When you want all the development tools and you want all the functionality, but unlimited is just too much. You've got a 1,500 or 5,000 point application, something like that. We use Factory Studio to help right size you, get you into the right size product for your application. So it helps fit your budget and functional capabilities. The Edge HMI is a scaled back version of Factory Studio. It does include all the necessary or all the power tools that Factory Studio or FrameworX do necessarily, but it does have everything you need for HMI type applications, operator interface type applications, something maybe out at the edge where someone may be out in the field and they just need an operator interface to go to, not something that is a server or part of a SCADA system, just an operator interface, right? So that's what the Edge HMI is all about. And then Edge Gateway is really it really serves as a data migration tool. So it's all the connectivity to all your real-time data sources, as well as your databases. So you get the data and move it on. It's got store and forward capabilities. It's got scripting built into it. So it's a really good, very cost-effective solution for getting that edge-based data and bringing it home, or sending it home, if you will. So this is FrameworX. This is many of the functional areas around FrameworX. New in version 9.2, we introduced this dynamic tag provider. Today we'll be showing some of that around the MQTT tools. But it's all the abilities to connect to all the data, to process all that data, to visualize all that data, to log it to historians. These are all the different functional areas that make up the FrameworX platform. And in version 9.2, these are the many functional areas that we enhanced and that we've been out promoting and demonstrating and working with people so that they can completely understand what's new in the platform. Today, Philip is going to be going through more of the MQTT tools, so including an MQTT simulator that's in version 9.2 now. We talked about the broker being included, again, at no extra charge, same with the Sparkplug B. Connectivity to Azure, and then talking just a little bit about the store and forward capabilities. So I've done a lot of talking already in a short amount of time. So Philip, I hope you're ready to go ahead and get started. And if that's the case, I'll just switch the slide here, and then you can go ahead and take it away. Sound good?
Okay, Dave, sounds good for me.
All yours.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So basically for today, the idea is to present to you guys two different applications, okay? So one of the application will be our MQTT data simulator, okay? This is an application that will simulate random data, okay? It could be getting data. It acts like a gateway. So let's think about it. It acts like a gateway. On this gateway, we could be getting data from anywhere, like a Modbus, ControlLogix, Siemens, OPC, doesn't matter. And once we get this data on the gateway, we publish this data to the broker, to the MQTT broker. In this case, we are going to use our Factory Studio embedded broker, but this could be any broker that you guys would like to use. Okay. Once we have the data into the broker, then we have the second application that will consume this data. Okay. This will act as a client application or an HMI. Okay. It will read the data from the broker and will create displays and visualization for this data. You can even historize data directly from your broker. So you can get this data, bring it back to you inside Factory Studio, and you can historize that anywhere, SQL Server, SQLite, Canary, doesn't matter. Whatever you want to historize or whatever is the technology you want to do that, you can do that. Okay, this data can be visualized on clients like HTML5, or you can have like iOS clients or even Windows clients that what we are going to show and present on this on these examples. That is a good thing to think about it here, is we have an application showing how to publish data, and we have another application showing how to consume data. Okay, so let's take a look at that. I'll start sharing my display with you guys. So let's go ahead and here. Okay, I think you all can see my display. Dave, you confirm that for me? You guys can see my display right now? Am I showing that? I think so. Let me double check. Yes. Okay. So I received it in yes. So perfect. So let's go ahead. Basically, the first application, as I explained it before, it will be the simulator. Okay. Inside the simulator, the first thing we have to think about is the structure of the data. For this example, we did create a brew line structure where we have different tanks. As you can see, we have the template here. So we did create brew lines. We have tanks. Let's go to the template tanks. And then you have valves, pumps, and options like properties like pH, level, pressure, temperature, okay, and others. Then you can go and create your tags. Your tags can use the template, and the idea is to use the templates that we have in here. How can you visualize the data structure very easily? We go to the assets display, we open this one here, okay, and we can navigate through our entire structure. Okay, so once we have the tags created, we can just navigate through the structures here. To create new tags, not make changes on the template, but to create new tags, you can right click on here, click on new tag, okay? And then you can set everything that you need. You can put the new name in here. So it could be brew line 3, for example, and it could be any type of tag. This case, it's going to be a brew line. And if you have the regular types like integers, doubles, you can specify start values, you can specify formats, you can set retentive, visibility, you can specify domain, if it's a server or client tag, and others. Okay, basically, for these guys here, we will have all the structure, and every single guy, every single property inside this structure has its own configuration. For example, a device, okay? And when I say a device, I'm saying any device on the field. Again, Modbus, ControlLogix, Siemens, OPC, doesn't matter, anything, okay? So, okay, basically the first thing I have here, I have my structure pre-created, and then I have all the properties for the structure, and then I call two tags, brewline1, brewline2. Now what we want to do, we want to create the simulation, the data simulation for these two tags that we have. Let's go to the devices here. And when we go to devices, we have 3 steps that we need to think. The first one is create the channel. The channel basically is where you select which protocol you want to use on this channel. If you want to use MQTT Sparkplug B or any of the other more than 70 different protocols that we have installed in our software, okay? For this example, I'm going to use the protocol called T-Simulator. What is the T-Simulator? It's a SCADA random values, a simulator for those values that will simulate data from any range that you pre-select, okay? But I want you guys to know and to think that this simulator could be replaced for any real world application and with any protocol from the list that we have, okay? So you could be getting this data from anywhere. And the other one that we have, other channel that we are going to use on this application is the MQTT Sparkplug B. Why Sparkplug B? We are using Sparkplug B specifically for this example because we want to work with structures. If you use a regular MQTT, let me show here. So basically, if you have a regular MQTT, that is this guy here, you have to create point by point all the addresses and topics and everything. it does not have the capability to expand, to browse the structures as the Sparkplug B has. Okay, but as you guys can see, to create a new channel, it's just very simple. Just select which one of the channels you want to use. If it has multiple kind of interfaces, you can select here and then click an OK button. I don't want to create anything right now because I already have it. Under the protocol options, under type, you can specify what is the type of your MQTT Sparkplug B protocol option. You can say you can set store and forward. I'm going to talk about store and forward a little bit later. And you can specify other configurations like publish debirth after any birth. So it's all configurable and you can change based on what you're looking for. Okay, good. So now we have our channel. What is the next step? The next step is to create our node. Okay, so let's go to the nodes and click on new button. The node uses the pre-created information that we have on the channels. So I have two channels created. I have simulator and I have Sparkplug B. If you select one of them, it will allow you to create a new node. Just click an OK button and it will show up on here. Okay, but let's talk about simulator. Simulator, you don't have to do any other configuration. But if it was any other device in the world, you would need to configure the primary station. Primary station for MQTT Sparkplug B. Very simple configuration. A lot of parameters, but very simple. Broker URL, the number of the port, the client ID, that is the name of the client that will show up in your broker, username or password, if you need that, X509 certificate. This is a certificate specifically used for MQTT. Okay, so if you guys need any help or need any guidance on how to create this certificate, we have a full documentation just talking about that. Okay, let us know. We can send this documentation for you and it will be very, very self-explaining on how you do that. Okay, then we have certificate password because it's going to be required. Network security because you can use like different TSLs or even SSLs. WebSocket if you want to use that or not. And I think the most important here for now is the QoS. That can be a number 0, 1, or it can be like at most once, at least once, exactly once. So let's keep that at least once for this example. And the keep alive. Keep alive is number of time that you keep your connection open. Okay, it's 10 seconds will be good enough for us to have it. Perfect. Then we have our node configuration ready and good to go. Let's go to the points right now. Wow, Philip, it's a lot of points. Yes, because I am simulating data for each one of the properties, each one of the points of my tags. Okay, so if you can see here, brew line 2, mesh tune, outlet pump, M off, or brew kettle pressure, brew kettle temperature. Each point of my structure, my data structure, will have a simulator related to that. Again, I'm going to go talk about that once again. It could be any device of the world. It could be MQTT, it could be OPC, it could be Siemens, ControlLogix, Modbus, doesn't matter. Whatever you guys are collecting data from. Okay, if you are using the simulator, you can use different types to simulate data, and then you specify what is the minimum or maximum value, the range that you want the simulator to navigate through. And then we have these two guys here. Let me filter so it's going to be easier for you guys to see. We have these two guys here. The two of them is Brewline 1, Brewline 2, and we have using the node MQTT Sparkplug B that we just pre-created, and then you have the addresses. The addresses basically is the topic of the MQTT, where you want to publish this data, okay? And then the access type. Access type here is write, because this is the application that is publishing data to the broker. It's writing into the broker, okay? So that's how you configure simple application just to collect data from the field and forward this data, publish this data to our broker. It could be any broker, okay? Let me see. Another thing that is very interesting. Let me show you guys. When you talk about the T simulator, there are two ways that you can simulate data to the broker, okay, to MQTT broker specifically. One of them is the way we are doing on this application. So using the T simulator, generate random SCADA values and sending to our broker through this kind of connection. But there is a second way that you can use. Inside of our installation folder, there is a file called MQTT SPB simulator, and it uses the simulator config information to simulate data and send to the broker. Okay, so once you run the exe file, it will open this window here for you. You can specify the broker URL, the port, username, and password. You can click on connect and then click on send continuous data. Here we have some simulation settings like base group ID, node ID, number of nodes, device ID, and number of devices per node. So you can configure everything you need here. Click on send continuous data or send one data sample, and it will send Sparkplug B reads and writes, or whatever you were doing for this example specifically, it's writes to the broker, and you will have data being published in there. Okay, you guys can make a test with that. Click on the connect, send continuous data. Don't even need to change anything. Just make sure you have your broker running, okay, and then you will be good to see data going to your brokers. Another thing that you guys can take a look is this file here, MQTT broker. Okay, so this is the broker that we have embedded in our software, and that you can use that for any kind of testing application examples or whatever you guys are going to develop. Okay, very well. Okay, so let's put this application to run. You can see here that I have only devices because that's the only thing that I really need on this application. I don't need any other module running, so I can save. That's a good thing about the way Factory Studio has been developed. The architecture of the system is that you can run different modules, so you don't need to spend CPU usage, memory usage on things that you don't need. Okay, so basically here I have only devices running. Let's go to the next application. Okay, next application is the client application. So the visualization for everything that we have. First things first, we have data being published to the broker. So how do we get this data from the broker to Factory Studio, back to us, to our client's application? Remember, this could be into different computers, okay? You don't really need to have both of them running on the same computer, and that usually you will not have them running on the same computer. Let's go to providers here. So edit tags providers, and let's start using our tag providers. For those who don't know what is a tag provider is a technology that allow you to connect into different brokers like MQTT broker, or you can use OPC UA, you can use ControlLogix, Factory Studio, okay, and Canary, of course. You can connect into these technologies, and you can navigate through the structures and recover data from these structures, even without you need to create any tags. So you don't need to go to devices like we did into the simulator application. You don't need to create a channel, a node, you don't need to create points. Okay, the only thing you need to do is to create a provider. You don't need even tags into your system when you're using the providers. Okay, how do you create the provider? Click on the create new button. Okay, select what is the protocol that you want to use. For this example, MQTT Spark Plug B. Set the interface if it has more than one, access mode if it has different access modes. As you can see, Sparkplug B has only read mode, because if you want to write, you have to go through the devices. Okay, so you go devices, channels, nodes, and points. So you create all the points that you want to write into the Sparkplug B. And then you click on OK button. Automatically, you have something like this one here that will have all the information that you can configure. Again, the primary station is the information that's more important for us here. So you just need to configure everything, click on the test button, make sure you have OK message here coming back from the response. Next thing, you can browse objects, and that's start getting very interesting. As you can see here, I can browse the objects that are being published into my broker right now from my other application. Okay, it could be any broker, any broker. You just need to go there and see all the informations. Okay, so if I click in one, for example, here, I can even see data changing here on the right, on the grid here that we have on the right side of the display. Okay, cool. Perfect. So I have the connection with my MQTT Spark plug B up and ready to go. What is the next steps? The next step is to bring that connection to Factory Studio in a way that we can use that into different places. The first place I want to use this connection is into our assets. So we will go to our assets here and we can create different levels. Okay, so I can have level 2, level 3. I can rename and give any name that I want. But specifically, I want to use here on the level 1. Okay, and I will right click level 1 and click insert asset from provider. You can then specify what is the right asset, what is the right object, specific one that you want to import. And then the system will import everything that is below this one. As you can see in this example, I'm importing Factory Studio Simulation line 1. And everything that is below this guy will be imported into my asset. Okay, so basically I can click here, I can see values changing, and now I can use my asset to navigate through my MQTT Spark plug B. Perfect. If I can use my asset, it means that on my displays, I can have an asset control. One thing that I want to show you guys is this tag here. This tag is just gonna be a helper for me. Okay, it's a basic tag, selected asset. It's gonna be a text type tag. Okay, so very simple tag, but it's gonna be very useful. Let's go to our draw environment. And the first page that I want to show is the asset page. I did create this page here with an asset element on it. So to create an asset element, you just go here and click on create an asset component, and then you draw it on the display. Once you double click your asset component, you will have some configurations that you can do in here. What I want you guys to take a look, a special look in here is the tag selected assets that I'm using under selected asset. As I say, this is just a text tag that will act as a helper, but that's going to be very important for me because every time I change a level into my MQTT asset that I just imported, it will bring this asset information into this tag. With that information, I can navigate and I can create all my displays. Okay, so this is the thing that I think you guys will use the most for this example. Perfect. So I have my display here created. Let's go to the first display that we are going to present for you guys on this example. That is this display here. Okay. This display is very simple. It has only one symbol and a basic symbol here. Okay. But before I talk about this symbol, let's understand how we get the information from the MQTT asset or whatever we have it inside Factory Studio using our provides, and how I put that on our display to create different symbols. I use as an example a text box here. Okay, so I'll click it, draw this text box in here, double click to open the dynamics, and I'll select a text.io dynamic. Okay, under object name, if I click on this guy here, it will give me the option to select which property, which level or whatever I want to put on that guy, on that field. Let's open here. Let's select, for example, pressure. Now I have here my object name showing my MQTT Spark plug B, that's the name of my provider, And inside the MQTT Sparkplug B provider, I want to search for this string that represents a path. When I say, let's start getting one thing from here and matching with another thing from here. When I say that I have a tag that is a text type or a string type, and this tag has the information about my asset that is exactly the path that I want to use. And then I say that every time I use a text IO, I can have a string inside this guy or a text inside this guy, showing me what is the path of whatever I'm looking for. Basically, what I'm saying is, instead of having this one fixed, like here, factory studio simulation, line 1, brew line whatever, brew kettle, pressure, I don't want it to be fixed. I want it to be more dynamic. So I can just type at tag dot and use my selected asset. Okay, so basically now I have something more dynamic, much more dynamic, because every time I change the selected asset, automatically everything changes. Automatically I'm looking to another route, another property, another level. So the way it works will vary, will change depending on how you are working, how you are, what you are selecting on your tree. Okay, good. Once you did configure that, you can right click, click on make new symbol, specify the name of the symbol that you want to use, and click on the OK button. Perfect. Once you did create your symbol, it will always be available for you. That's the good thing about the symbols. When you create a symbol, it will be available for you to use into anywhere into your project. Okay, any display, any reports, you can use the symbols anywhere. Another good thing is, once you have a symbol, if you need to make a change on the symbol and you save it to your symbol library, everywhere that you use that symbol will be updated automatically for you. So you don't need to worry to go display by display updating your symbols. And the symbols will always be available here under the symbol library. Okay, so as you guys can see here, this is the symbol that we just are using here. I can double click and I can put that on my display. Perfect. Every symbol has specific properties, not dynamics. Dynamics are created into the root objects inside the symbols, but the symbols can have properties that will act depending on how you did create and how you did configure that. I have a video I can forward for you guys that is how to create a symbol, basically showing how to use mnemonics and everything else. So I think if you guys are looking for symbols, and I completely say, go ahead and learn how to create symbols, because that's very, very helpful. For this example here, I already have my symbol pre-created. And once I double click, it will show my symbol configuration. Under symbol configuration, you will have different properties that you did create into your symbol, that your symbol waits for information to act as it's expected. Okay, so as you can see, pH, pressure, selected tag, and temperature. Basically, this symbol that I did pre-created is waiting for a tag that will be selected tag from the assets, and it's waiting for parameters that will represent pH, pressure, and temperature. Okay, as you guys can see here, I already did fill the informations as we need. Okay, so we need here pH, pressure, temperature in here, and then I have my tag selected asset. Okay, so basically this is the first display, a very simple display, just one symbol in here. Let's run this display, let's run this project. As you can see, script historian display only. That's all I need for this example. Okay, let's keep it running, and then I can show you guys the displays and how they work. Basically, I have here the brew kettle or my asset, and every time I navigate through a different tank in here, you can see that it will blink because it's recovering new information. and then boom, I have the information on real time, on live, from whatever is being published into my broker, into my MQTT broker. I have this information on here on Factory Studio on live. Okay, so very simple display showing how to create a symbol, how to use that symbol, getting data from the MQTT provider and showing on the displays. Okay, good. Uh, Another display that we have, let me show the display before and then we go to the engineering to talk about it. The other display that we have is this one here. This is a really nice display that I did create this to show you guys that we have capabilities of dashboard too. And the dashboard can use different components, visual components to display any data you want. As you guys can see here, I have 5 different things on this display. I have a symbol that I did pre-create here that will show up the name of the level that I select. I have a trend chart that's showing 3 pens. Okay, so if you open this guy, you see I have pH, pressure, and temperature. That's the same we are showing in here. So basically, these are the pens that I'm showing here. I did hide the legends, but you guys can have it showing on the bottom or on the right or left side. So up to you, whatever is the configuration you want to use. And as you can see, if I navigate to another one, basically this guy changes based on my selection. Here on the right side, I have a data grid that has all the information related to the level that I did select. As you can see, I can like order by name, I can filter, I can show columns or hide columns. So all the grid properties that we have, they are available in here. The other thing that I have is a gauge here that's showing pressure. So as you can see here, every time pressure change values here, my gauge responds. It's very fluid. It's very interesting. This is an example of a gauge from the library that we have. So of course, that's available for all of you. And then we have the symbol. I did pre-create this symbol here, and I'm using the same symbol that we have on the line display that you guys saw a few minutes ago. It's the same symbol that I'm showing in here. So the good thing is I'm showing the capability that the system has to have different ways to present the data. Okay, so you can like change this, or you can change the size of the things, or you can, for example, maximize, and you can use all the trend capabilities. You can zoom in, zoom out. So basically, you can do all you have all the features, and you can do everything that is available for any symbol that you are using on here. Let's take a look on this display. Let's see how it's been created. Basically, this is the display that we are talking about. Here on the top, I have a symbol that is pre-created. That is not a lot of dynamics. It's just getting the name of the level. No secrets on this symbol. Basically, here I have a trend chart, okay, that I have the 3 pens. If you double click, you see, hey, Philip, but you have no pens in here. Yes, because I'm using a template. It's another example that we have. And if you guys use our pre-created template application, you have all of those templates and all the things that you need to use to do this automatically created for you. In the code behind of this display, I have a small code in here just getting the assets with the pressure or pH or temperature and setting them on the tags. Then I have the configuration of my WPF control here, the circular gauge, where I'm getting the first pen of this trend chart, that is the pressure, and I have the configuration of my symbol. As you guys saw before, I'm just passing parameters here and then using a tag. Okay, so very simple. The way you create this, oh, let me show you here, the data grid, I almost forgot that. The data source is basically the tag that we did create. So everything that you have in that tag, we will just interpret that and we will go to our MQTT and we will get that information and then it will show up on there. Okay, so very simple configuration, very simple display, to be honest. There is nothing special on this display. There are basically no codes, as you see that. As you saw there, we have 3 lines of code that are very, very simple, but they are even not really required. I could go into my trend chart here and I could create the pens just right here. I don't really need that code. I just create that because for me, it's more dynamic. I can do whatever I want when I'm doing through the code. And then a simple gauge here that you can configure. Okay, the results are very interesting. I think the visual of our trends is very cool. The visual of the dashboard is very cool. You can even use different themes. Okay, you can navigate through that, and I really like it. I think it's something that you guys could be very helpful for you guys on your projects. Okay, another thing that I like when I'm using MQTT Broker is the capability for the publisher application to publish data that is not in there. And remember when I was explaining what is a tag provider? The good thing when we use a tag provider connecting to our MQTT broker is the capability to have a self-aware application. What I'm talking about, for example, if my publisher data starts publishing a new tank in here, so I have 4 tanks, Mashton, Lauderton, Gristmill, Brook Kettle. If I start to publish a new one, automatically my application that has all the visualization that is consuming through the data provider will update my asset, and I will have the capability to use that new asset into my application. And that's really amazing. But there is another thing here. When we talk about self-aware applications, we can think about, let's say, we have here 4 tanks. So if I go into a display, let's go to a display here. And I can add, I want you to add, for example, this display I have only one symbol because this is a basic display that is showing specific for one tank. What if I want one display that shows show information of all the tanks that I have? How do I do that? Because okay, if I know it's only one tank, I draw one symbol, I select the information I want, I configure the way I want, and it's gonna work. But what if I want 4 symbols or 3 symbols or 5 symbols or 10 symbols based on what my broker, my MQTT broker has, whatever is publishing data into my broker? Let's see. Basically, I have this symbol that I did create here. So it's a tank symbol where I have the name of the tank, pH, pressure, temperature, and some kind of graph here, the level of the tank. And I want to create this tank level, the strength symbol, based on what I just explained, based on how many tanks I have on my system. This is less than 50 lines of code. It's a simple code that you guys have to use. It's a very straightforward code, to be honest. Less than 50 rows. As you can see, I finished on row 49, but I have a lot of things that I do use, like try catches and a lot of spacing between rows and things like that. So this is a very simple code, to be honest, less than 50 rows. What I'm doing on my coding, I'm gonna give you guys an explanation, really overview, a briefly overview about my coding here. I'm getting the display and I'm creating some panel on that. Okay, so I'm creating a space of a panel here. And then this is very important. This piece here. I have the container, I'm adding a scroll viewer, and then in this row here on line 15, I have the TK get children elements, and I am giving for this guy the level that I just selected. Okay, so I will navigate inside that level and I will recover all the children elements of that level. Then I will have a looping into this level, that all the levels that I bring back from my children elements here. And into this looping, I will create parameters that will be based on what I need: temperature, pH, pressure, level, name, all the points, all the elements and the parameters that my symbol is waiting. Then I will say, okay, I want to create a dictionary of labels, or when I have like a property property name, for example, temperature, pH, pressure, and the value of the property that I want to give to my symbol. And this is basically the piece of code that you guys will draw the symbol. Okay, I'll say what's the name of the symbol I want to use, what is the panel where I want to put my symbol inside, and what are the labels or the parameters that I want to send to my symbol. Okay, if you see here, select the tag, temperature, pH, pressure, level, and name. If we go back in here and take a look again into our symbol, okay, if we double click, you see that it matches with the same names that I have on the symbol configuration. Okay, so it has to match because the system is waiting for those names. So basically, once you match the names and you have the information of what you want to send for each names, you just need to run this piece of code here, and we will automatically create the symbol for you. You can specify even visualization properties for your symbol, like the width, the height, the margin, or whatever you want to use. Okay, Philip, okay, good. So I did create this code. I did print screen your display to learn about the code. And of course, guys, I'm giving you a tip. Do a print screen or watch the presentation over and over again if you need to take a look on this code and try to understand better. If you have any question, or of course, reach us and we will help you with that. But once I have the code running, how does it work on the display? Let's go back here. Let's click in root level and let's go back to my levels here. Every time I navigate through a new one here, okay, it will draw based on that. So you can see here, I have 4 levels. It's gonna draw brew kettle, and it will give all the values and the level here, grist mill, same thing, loader tune, mash tune. If I had 5 guys here, it will add one more, and there it goes. Okay,
So Philip, this is being driven just by that little bit of code you showed.
absolutely. As you can see, this display itself here on my application, this display has nothing. This is the display that you guys are looking for right now. You see, it has absolutely nothing. I didn't draw anything by myself. Everything is handled by code. Okay.
Pretty simple.
Okay, so these are the 3 displays that I would like to share with you guys. Some different things that you can do if you are MQTT, specifically in this example using Sparkplug B. But when we talk about MQTT, there are other things that could be talking about. Okay, and I'm gonna stop sharing my display. I'm gonna go back to our presentation, and I will talk a little bit more about another thing that we can have. So basically, what we already know, we do have MQTT, the regular protocol. We do have the Sparkplug B, and there is one thing more. Let's take a look on that. Here it is. The last thing that we can do with our MQTT is the capability to connect with the Azure IoT Hub. Okay, so there is a toolkit extension that you can configure. Okay. So basically, Dave, you probably has a little bit of a return on my voice, so just to let you know. Okay, so basically, the Azure IoT Hub, there is a capability factory studio uh, to connect from Factory Studio into the hub, into the Azure Hub. There are just a few steps of configuration that you guys need to do. Basically, all the configuration is done on the Azure side of the thing. Inside Factory Studio, it's basically creating a new device, a new channel, a new node, and some points. And all the other part of the configuration basically is inside Azure. We have a documentation for this specifically that shows everything, how you go step by step on this configuration. So if any of you guys need to understand and to know more how to configure, how to connect MQTT with your Azure IoT Hub extension, your toolkit, just let us know. We will provide you this information. This could be available from anyone. So just let us know. And it's really cool, really interesting to understand. And as I showed before, the next thing that we have is the capability of MQTT to store and forward information. So think about it. You have your data being published to your broker, and then you lose connection with that broker. We have the capability to store this data locally, and once your connection is up back again, we send all the stored information to the broker. That may be the difference between having data and losing data. Okay, so you don't want to lose data. So using our MQTT protocols, you can be safe and know that even if your connection is down, even if you break, if you have no connection with your broker, you will not be losing data. Okay, the same way we have for the historian. Okay, historians can do the same. You can historize data locally and then store forward this data as soon as your connection is up and running back again. Dave, I would like you to talk for our friends about the Hive MEQ integration that we have. Could you
Sure.
do the honors?
Very good. Thank you. And thank you for that presentation, Philip. That was great. So, like I said, we do include a broker and a Sparkplug B client in our product free of charge for you to use in building and testing out your applications. And it may be sufficient for your, your real world application needs as well. But when you do need to have some more of those power tools, some more of an enterprise perspective or solution as part of what you're building, we've got this great relationship with Hive MQ that allows you to work through us to get the Hive MQ broker and everything. We support you as well. So we've got what you could probably use right within our tool set, but when you need that power tool, that bigger solution, enterprise grade type application, we can help you there as well through our partnership with Hive MQ. So that's what we had to show today, and that's what we wanted to walk everyone through. So we do have training coming up next month if you want to get some in-depth training. We do it 3 mornings in a row. We host from 8 to 12 or 8:30 to 12:30, somewhere around there, Central Time here in the U.S. So we have a training coming up. March 15th through the 17th is our next class that we've got set up. If you want information for that, if you want to sign up for that, just send me an email. Got my email address right there, dave.hellier@tatsoft.com. And we certainly would encourage you to sign up for the training. And it looks like maybe not too distant future, we may be having training classes in person again here in the Chicagoland area. So we look forward to that as well and seeing you attend there. So if we have some questions that we'd like to go ahead and go through, let's go ahead and pull them up. Philip, stay at the ready. And we'll go ahead and start answering any questions that you have. Bring them. Any questions?
Benami, Richard, asking about AWS. Okay, basically AWS is not the communication. We don't have that ready for now, but we are already working on the AWS communication. Okay, for now we have Azure IoT, but in this moment specifically, we don't have the AWS ready. It's already being tested, but we didn't release anything yet. So it's still on development. I would say on development. It's on QA, but I would say on development.
Thank you for confirming our plans there, Richard, especially making sure on that. Next, additional tag providers.
Yes, as Dave mentioned it before, can we put back the presentation where we had the one of the first slides? I can move to that slide specifically here. Basically, this is one of the slides that we have where we talk about dynamic tag provider here on the left side of the display. Okay, as you can see here, basically today we have 5 different. We have MQTT, we have OPCUA, Canary Labs, Rockwell, and we have FrameworX. We are already capable of having data provider for OZSoft and GE Historian, and we are working on new data providers. OZSoft and GE Historian probably will be the next one released, and then we are going to start on the next level of tag providers. But think about it, any kind of device that could be browsable can be a tag provider. It's just a matter of facts that we go there and we put that inside the tech provider technology.
Very good. Thank you, Philip. I see one. What reporting tool do we have? So we have a text-based reporting tool built into FrameworX. It's part of everything that's included in everything from Edge HMI on up. It's a text-based reporting tool, so you're not working inside a spreadsheet, but you're laying out what data you want to have where. Includes the ability to embed graphics into your report file. So not that they're actively changing when you're looking at the report, but they take a snapshot of the value that the graphical object is linked to when the report is generated, and that's what will be included in the report, including trend charts. If you want to have a trend chart and then have tabular data underneath it, you can do those kinds. Yeah, those kinds of things built right into it.
Yeah, daily reports. For if you have daily reports for plant balance and then emailing them out as a PDF or Excel, absolutely, absolutely, that's totally possible. What is the limits on the store and forward function? Basically, when we have a store and forward function, how it works, we storage the data. We everything in a SQLite, in a local SQLite, because with Factory Studio on the Factory Studio installation, we do have SQLite pre-installed together. So you don't need to worry, because all the limitations that we could have in the store forward is the same limitations that I have on the SQLite database. That are, I don't believe that you are going to have, I don't know, like 10 gigabytes of data stored unless it be like a few days or maybe weeks without any connection. So I don't think you need to worry about the limits, because as I say, the limit is basically the limitation that you have on your hard drive, because it's a SQLite database.
And Joey, just to build on top of that as well, it's something that installs when you install the software. You don't have to install it, maintain it, or license it separately. It's just there because you installed FrameworX. Okay. Is the API to roll your own provider? Is there an API to roll your own provider?
Not yet. On our toolkit API, we will provide some functionalities to connect with tag providers, but not yet. This is not something that we have yet. What is the text to language? Are you talking about the reports?
So we have language localization built into it, where you can decide what the text is going to say in what different language. So if you have it in standard in English, but you need it to be in something else, we have that capability built into the software as well. Make that substitution. Essentially, it's something.
Sorry, Dave. No, go ahead. I just made a.
Okay, so something is we call it localization. So there's a way to anything that is going to be localized, change languages when you generate those things. There's a database, an interface into that that you would have all the terms that are changing languages, and then what those changes would be given on the language that you assign to that section. So it can be done as well, for sure.
Yeah, and Ian, just complementing the answer, Dave. When you talk about the scripting language, no, there is no scripting language into the reporting. That's why I made him because he made this comment after that. So no, we don't have any scripting language specifically. It's just visualization. It's just like a Word file where you go there and you type on the name of the tags you want to see. If you want to see dates or things like that, you can put tables, but basically use the Factory Studio, it's, not scripting, but the Factory Studio tools like symbols or tables and things like that to generate that. What you can do is you can have scripting behind the scenes, like classes or any other scripting that could be VB.NET, could be C Sharp, or could be even Python. Okay, and you could have them doing, for example, a data manipulation and then returning this data into data tables, and then you present these tables into your scripting. So in that case, as I said, VB.NET, C Sharp, and even Python.
Well, okay, that's interesting, Rich. Thank you.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Very good.
Cool. Really cool. That's amazing.
There we go. We got some interesting applications out there for sure. Being an open platform like we are invites a lot of creativity and flexibility, and Rich certainly has experience with that.
Oh yeah.
Appreciate your work, Richard. Anyone else? If any more come in, we can go ahead and put them together in an email, send them out to everyone that came here today. We certainly appreciate your time. We're just out of time now. We had scheduled an hour. We are right at an hour now. So thank everyone for coming here today. Stay tuned, as we'll undoubtedly be having more workshops, more announcements coming down the road. Just some additional links for you if you want to download the demo, get information on us on LinkedIn, or if you want to send me email, like you want to register for that training that's coming up March 15th to 17th. I'll be glad to get you involved in that. So again, thank everyone for coming today.
There you go.
Hats off, hats on, right? Okay. And we'll see you folks down the road a piece. Thank you very much.